autumn on your Thursday it is. And I just have I don't know. I ran into, for lack of a better phrase, an article on Politico today, which I thought, in the spirit of all the talk about the Build Back Better plan, and of course, Speaker Pelosi saying, of course, the press is not selling the Build Back Better plan, and even though she's tirelessly gone over different points or different sections of it, and if you guys are not here yet, you can't see me because it's basically night. It's getting to be nightfall where I am. So I entitled this stream Bone Scraps for All because this Politico article basically, it seems to be speaking to sections of the actual Build Back Better plan, which the education section of it. Thank you so much. And hello, alien believers. So it's this Build Back Better plan, or this 3.5 trillion or whatever multi-billion-dollar bill or pork project. This particular article, I'm paraphrasing it. It's entitled Biden pits the Hispanic serving institutions against the HBCUs. So I every now and then I'll tag in on some of the HBCU issues, and I've been pretty hard on HBCUs, and I have reason for that. And I'm not talking out of my nose, because I do have my own experience with HBCUs. However, this particular article talks about it's to me, we have a lot to work with here. Here we have this Build Back Better plan, this huge infrastructure bill, and I use air quotes when I say that. We have this huge bill that's out there, and this particular article speaks to the education, but to me, it's not just speaking, it's speaking to many of the problems that I do believe that will come about from this $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill. For example, we've all, to me, there's no surprise here. I mean, I can go into from a community standpoint. The bill basically is going to, that education bill will end up being, for the HBCU, it'll end up being, you're going to be in the red because of the funding, your shortage. And then the article also opens up with the saying that the HBCU somehow built a brand, I guess because they had renewed, they said, quote, I'm paraphrasing here, that they had renewed presidential support from, of course, anytime they can drop the 5-letter word Trump, they will do it. And so because, they had renewed presidential support from Trump, it just seems like they're going all in on whatever support he gave them, or whatever that's going to do. But according to Biden, he's going to undo everything that Trump did. Okay, so let me get on with it. In this situation, we all know that we have a couple of issues, some serious issues going on in this country right now, whether it's, what I'm going to say illegals or migrant caravans, or the mother of all migrant caravans on their way. We do know that there's a problem with lumping people together. And whether you want to say lumping people, lumping cultures, lumping ethnicities, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. And I do believe that the only time you've got forever and a day, the left, dare I say, the left tends to, they have this box of chocolate with this assortment of different groups of people, but as soon as the economics come in is where they will divide those people again. So am I going to sit here and say Biden's only dividing, he would be dividing, or he would be pitting groups against each other? He would be pitting the American people against each other, because this particular bill has all kinds of issues, and there's all kinds of words in there where I see growing representation for Latino or Hispanic groups, and even their argument is from the Latino or Hispanic side, saying, oh well, we have population counts, people. we're educating and serving kids at 100 times, this amount of people in different areas than these HBCUs. And then of course the HBCUs, they want more funding for what they're saying infrastructure. And then to me, this is where I say that the population counts, because people have been touting, I don't know what stats they're using for blacks in the country. They've been touting something about 13% for a while. I'm not sure if that number is still stable or if it's more or less at this point. But population does count. But overall, if this infrastructure bill passes, there's not going to be, to me, any need for representation, because we do know that representatives actually make up our Congress. We have representation in the House as well as the Congress. So they've already tried everything under the sun, from trying to make Puerto Rico a state, from making DC a state. But guess what? What people are paying attention to, and all the people from different communities that were crying tears about the illegals and they just want a better life, these are the people that are going to end up, this new class of people are going to end up making this, sealing the deal for one party rule and one rule and control, because they are flooding in here. They are flooding in the representation that's going to determine what this country is like, what type of what type of, how much funding you get for whether it's your state schools, your county schools. And they are strategically placing these migrants or illegals all over the country. If you didn't see just a couple of days ago, what is it in New York? They're basically in the night, they are transporting and dropping these kids off and transporting them in different places. So if it's on the level, why do you need to have these private charters? Why are people being dropped off in the middle of the night? Why is it happening that way? So what I'm saying is that this is not going to be just a pit minorities against minorities. It's actually going to be an issue for the entire country, because they are flooding this country. We're coming close to midterms. They're flooding the countries with illegals from all over the world. It's not just Hispanics. It's not just Latinos. It's people from all over the world. And that is going to shape what type of funding is going to be available. To me, this bill is basically setting it up. The bill is basically setting up. I've had a chance to look at the bill. Mind you, that bill is 2,500 pages long. But I see the list. When I look at the education and the sections, the demographics, they got Alaskan, or they'll say Pacific Islander. They've got all these different groups of minorities thrown into this pot. And there's no way with what they're proposing, there's no way there's going to be enough funding for all of these different groups of people to do what they want to do. Some of them want a separate pot. Some of them say, oh, we should get more. It's just, they knew exactly what they were doing with this. They care about skin color until it comes down to the money. So you have all these, you've got, your representatives are growing. They mentioned that in this Politico article about the growing representation of the Latino Hispanic community. Well, imagine that. If you're flooding the country with people from all over the world, whether it's the Northern Triangle countries or not, your representation, you are going to make a case that more representation and more funding needs to go to these other places. And what's that going to do? That's going to be an American problem. It's not going to be just a pit this one group against another. And this is my thing. And I talk about this all the time, about people worshiping and this black and that's not black. And I don't really like to get into those kinds of issues because there's plenty of people that do. But during Biden's clandestine meeting, that Zoom call that was supposed to be private, that no one was supposed to be watching or recording, he told, and I'm paraphrasing this, you fact check me or go back in my archives if you want to see the past, but he told the so-called black leaders in there, they claimed they were civil rights leaders, he told them that I'm the best guy this position. Okay, but he said, I've done more than anybody else has done. And he also said that you guys better start working or hitching your wagon to the Hispanic community, because there's more of them than there are of y'all. That's basically what he was saying. So am I going to sit here and say, is he pitting? No, he's not pitting you. He told you what he would do. He told you what he would do. And he told you he was also going to undo everything from the previous administration, whether it was good, bad, fair, whatever. There was no mystery about what this administration was going to do when it came to minorities. They set it up and they create a mess. So what I'm saying is, the HBCUs are going to be in the red. And I know every week I kind of go on a little tangent, and I'm kind of sarcastic, a little thick with the sarcasm when I talk about bread bowls and entertainment at Fool's Gold, because every weekend HBCUs are focused on their bread bowls and entertainment on the football field, and they're not paying any attention. But I've also seen some of the chat rooms that talk about, oh, well, Biden tried to pass funding for this particular group, but they wouldn't let him. But why didn't they let him pass it? Why are you these arguments and stuff that they're not even arguments? Why didn't it pass? Well, is there something wrong with it, or is it a good bill? Why is it not getting passed? There is a reason it's not getting passed. But I don't think that they're going to satisfy anybody with this, because it's such a mess. And this administration and those cabinet members, they're undoing everything. There will be nothing equal. You want to talk about civil rights and all to me, any kind of rights will be undone because of all this talk about racism and this group and that group. You will not have a civil rights history or struggle, because they're going to obliterate it by just dumping you into a pile of people and saying, hey, you all are the same. You guys can bone scrap and fight it out together. That's basically what it boils down to me. It's just a big bone scrap. But it's not going to be just those two groups, is why I said it is bone scraps for all. We're all going to be scrapping, and we're all going to be fighting for transparency and for funding. Because if you're a person that has a kid that goes to a public school, you probably already know what a crowded classroom is. You probably already know that teacher to student ratio is already off the proverbial chain. You already know that. So what do you think is going to happen with an influx of people coming in here, and nobody knows who they are or where they are until it's time to go and do this system and pull a lever? I'm just saying, it doesn't matter, if it's just a mess. There's just no transparency at this point. I want to say hello to everybody in the stream. I'm in the dark, so just bear with me here. Let's see who's here. I've seen Miss Latin Patriot. I've seen Rachel Van Ziel. I've seen DJ Vision Barnett, and I've seen Alien Believers. Thank you guys so much for coming in. So, this is my thing, and I'm sick of the whole, I just kind of get tired of the whole, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. I know there's some very distinguished differences. I can discern just fine. But at the same time, I just don't see where there's anybody fighting for the people. We're going to fight amongst ourselves is what we're going to end up doing. And that's what's happening. That's what we're going to end up doing. And we're not building, this is not building back better. It is not. We're not built. We're going to be, we're going to be kicking back at each other better is what we're going to be doing. It's just, I'm just really tired of them, lumping people together. And to me, that's a liberal, it's a liberal chillax to say, oh, well, feel better because if you're black, you got some Latinos over there. Oh, well, feel better, Latinos, because you got some black people over there. I mean, are we really, if there's any righteous choice, why can't everybody just be equal and you quit drawing people down and lumping people together in these groups? Nobody wants to be lumped together. I know I'm not crazy enough to think that a Latino wants to be identified as a black person or just aligned with a black person, or a black person just simply wants to be aligned with somebody that has some extra melanin in their skin. This is really dumbed down, and it's really disgusting. It never ends. But I'm telling you, it just never stops. You got this racism and then the economics. And it just kind of comes down. That's where they'll stop dividing you. The buck stops at the economics. It doesn't matter how many people are coming in here and driving down wages for people that are already here. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I've just had enough of them using the lowest. They use the low-hanging, I think they consider low-hanging fruit. I think they consider minorities low-hanging fruit. And then you get these liberals out here that just want to lump us all together, and their representatives and their progressives, they want to do the same thing. I don't know. They keep coming up with all these terms. What is it? Hispanic serving institutions or minority serving institutions. If it's education, it's education then, right? But like I said, this is all, to me, they're setting this up to flood the country, to get the one party rule out. What difference will representation make by reps 2, 3, however many? What difference will it make if the third class, if the bottom class is the majority in the country? I just, this is just one section of that horrible Build Back Better thing that's out there. That's just one section. It's huge. Hi, Joseph Francis Burton. Let me read your comment here. I'm trying to keep up, guys. It says, I don't care about left, right. I'm more concerned about the lack of honesty, trust, transparency, leadership that are just not naked power grabs. Yes, and that's what my concern is. I just think everybody wants to be, okay, have we had, in the past, institutions or underfunding, and yes, we have. But if you're going to just throw everybody into the pot and start a bone scrapping, and to me, they're creating a bone scrap for institutions that haven't even been created yet, for crying out loud. But California, what are they saying? They're citing their stats. 21 out of 23 of the schools are considered. See, it's just about them getting more money. These states getting more money to do what? They might not do a thing with the infrastructure once they get this Build Back Better money. And the students may not see any of it. They may not see it in their Pell Grants or their research sections. They may not see it all. I'm sick of it all. Rachel Van Zyl says, I'm disgusted with both sides. Hell, they are all blood related. Well, I apologize for me being in the dark. Thank you so much, Rachel Van Zyl. Thank you guys for being in here. I'm trying to pull this up. Okay, I'll try to pull back, get some of the comments in, because I see Miss Latin Patriots here. But yes, that's just one section of that infrastructure bill. I just don't see it. It's very small. A small portion of that is going to be doing anything for infrastructure. Have you guys seen any improvements in our infrastructure? Just look around. Look at your airports. Look around. I don't need to make this stuff up. I don't have to, because it's in your face. But what I am sick of is, I'm sick of, I have issues with people not paying attention to what's going on until they're in a sling. And I'm sick of them creating, they're manufacturing. So I think everybody, of course, deserves to be educated. I think society functions better with education. But at this point, we're not functioning. We're not functioning. For your schools, for people that are still going to their schools, whether they're masked or unmasked right now, I don't even know what that looks like anymore. But to set up a bone scrap and feature your second and third class citizens is kind of pathetic. even for this administration. But I'm saying the thing about Biden is he doesn't even pretend like he's trying to do anything. He doesn't try to pretend like he's trying to be fair. He is good at segregating people, and they're good at dividing people, and that's what's going to continue to happen. So I didn't mean to turn this into a rant, but I just had to read that little piece from Politico, and more things are going to come out, because they're going to run more people from these communities, whether Hispanics or blacks. You got the blacks over here saying that the HBCUs deserve it. These deserve more. It's just non-stop. Well, we've got more people. And see, this is where I talked about earlier, where population counts. Well, if your population is low, that's how they're going to justify the majority is going to rule. The majority representation is what they're going to use to say, this is how this should go down. And I mean, do our schools need work? Yeah, they need, a long time ago. But who's basically leading and running the schools? It's the same people. The same people that are running the schools, educating the teachers, teaching the kids, are the same people that keep things dysfunctional and are undereducating the kids. Let's see. Rachel Van Zyl says, we need King Solomon. So yeah, so I was a little bit aggravated about to set this up like we have. And to me, Politico is, dare I say, I guess you could say it's left leaning or whatnot. But the thing about it, it's funny to me that nobody really wanted to talk about anything that Trump was doing for HBCUs last year or the year before. They didn't really want to talk about it. But they have the nerve to open this thing up and say that they had renewed presidential support, and that the Hispanics are frustrated after 4 years. Well, they're so frustrated that this is my first time hearing about it. And I've never heard of any HSIs, historically Hispanic serving institutions, before now. Never heard of it. Let me read. This is Miss Latin Patriot. She says, we need to make more private schools that are affordable. The money that goes to the public schools should be given to the school of choice that the parents choose. And I'm going back a little bit. And DJ Vision Barnett says, I don't care what side, as long as we can be honest and not be about power. Well, see, that's what I'm thinking it is. They're not really, I think this is more about the power grab. To me, the power grab is the bigger picture, and that's going to affect all Americans, whether they want to, cut a corner off of the education bite and say, oh, here, look what Biden's doing to pitting the Hispanics against the blacks. Well, that's what they're good at doing, and they were, they need to, it's better if we remain allies. Well, how's that going to happen? You got a caucus from A to Z. You probably have an LGBTQ MOUSC caucus. You probably have one of those. It's just, to me, you just have so many subgroups, people fighting for power everywhere. And they'll use the second and third class citizens to keep it going. They'll put that in front of you just to get a rise out of a few people, to make it seem like these filthy politicians are doing anything about it. Like, honestly, and this whole bill is basically going to be transgenerational debt. This whole bill, another bill, and we're already in the red. So this is like, so what are we talking about here? What are we talking about? I'm just saying, and that's why I entitled this thing, Bone Scraps for All. Transgenerational debt for all. I'll say that. And Miss Latin Patriot says, I'm Washington. They are forcing Jabberwocky on all homeschool. Whoa. Wow. Miss Latin Patriot, thank you for sharing that. That's very interesting. Let's see, I'm trying to pull up some more comments here. I don't mean to neglect you guys, but I'm in a mobile. This is a mobile mobile stream really quickly here. So I'm going to get us out of here in just a few seconds. But I just want to say hi and thanks for coming in. I mean, the thing is, this is, to me, I don't want to say this is a, I mean, I have a background in education and teaching on K through 12 as well as collegiate level. And I see problems across the board. But the thing about it is that the kids will end up losing. And then they just kind of wave these things around to infuriate people. And then they just keep, you know, keep their little, they keep their calculations going in the meantime. It's not about the kids. It's not about any of that. It's just about them grabbing control. Because what is it? Biden's already proposing 2 years of community college, and then according to Politico, he says, the Politico article says that 52% of Hispanics go to community colleges, and it's just it's really sad. It's really sad. Hang on just a second. All right, so I'm gonna scroll here. All right, we have Joseph Francis Burton says, and he's making a fortune in these teaching training seminars in school districts around the country. Well, Ibram X. Kendi on how to be anti-racist is blatant racial division. That's all they know how to do. But it's all going to lead to the power grab. It's going to lead to the one. I mean, some people will argue it's already one party rule. You know, it's there. And let's see. DJ Bishop Barnett says, I'm a Bill in my schoolhouse rock voice. And Rachel Van Zyl says, we ought to be able to homeschool with the right to take regents and diplomas, not a dang certificate. Okay, hold on a second here. Let's see. And Miss Lion Patriot says, YouTube has taken parts of its speeches to make commercials promoting the Jabberwocky. Yikes. Let's see. So yeah, I really appreciate you guys so much for coming in here, but I was on the verge of a rant, but I'm just thinking that it's just, I mean, and I read Politico things, you know, all the time, but this one is just, I just don't know why people are not, and I'm not saying you guys, people are not paying attention until they are in trouble. And I do believe rather than focusing on, see, the thing about it is another issue. It's kind of love-hate relationship that I have with HBCUs. You can't put entertainment above education and think you're going to have the best. And you can't be out here, you know, it just seems like the narrative to me on when it comes to the HBCU right now, to me, their focus seems to be like they want to be the NFL mill right now. But it was never intended. It was those schools were teacher colleges. They were normal schools. The normal school was the first source of education, the first establishment of education opportunities for blacks. It was. And then for them to turn it into something right now, rather than pay attention to what's going on and to inform people and get people off of their skin color and off of their emotions, I can't do anything about it. I don't do anything about it. I just don't. I won't support things that are not. I will not support things that come down to economically screwing yourself. If you're economically screwing yourself with your obsession over your skin color, then you're not gonna make it. And I feel like that's what's happened. That they just get people focused on things that don't really that are good, but strategically you're a loser. All right, so I'm just going to go through and say hello to everyone, and then a note, salute to everyone. Thank you guys so much for coming in and listening to my rant. Yeah, thank you for coming in. Thank you, Rachel Van Ziel, Miss Latin Patriot. I appreciate you guys so much for coming in. Joseph Francis Burton says, Joseph Francis Burton says, I want to rant on my videos all the time. Not a wise move for me. I always take a deep breath and hold my tongue. Yeah, I'm not practicing a lot of restraint right now, but it's just, I am, the thing about it is they always tell you what they're going to do. And that Zoom call with Biden got leaked. And I think one of the most poignant things that I saw in that Politico video, I always hear these so-called civil rights leaders or these black leaders say, oh, we want a seat at the table. Oh, we want a seat at the table. And then I hear, I see a citing from a Hispanic representative says, well, we want a seat at a table that we actually have resources to work with at the seat of the table. We need resources at the seat of the table so that we can actually do something. So it's like, you need to go that step further and not just talk about a seat or just a presence. Because to me, Biden could care less in that Zoom call that they all had a seat at the table. But they had no resources. You had nothing you walked away with nothing. You walked away demoralized and told to hitch your wagon to the Hispanic community. That's what you got. So there again, you guys are getting more of my rant there. So I appreciate it again. And let me just say this, give you this one. Rachel Van Ziel says, hail the Goobermans. Miss Latin Patriot says, on the other hand, when another conservative female questions a male with a simple question, is it odd the males will run to defend the men, but never a female? Yeah. What is the term? Mansplaining? I don't know. This language, I tell you, I don't even like to use it. I don't like to use it. And some people go out of their way to use these terms, these buzzwords. So yeah, I'm going to thank you guys so much for tuning in. But I don't take a look at it. It's there. It's entitled something like, Biden is pitting Hispanic serving institutions against the HBCUs. And you'll see for yourself. Of course, it's written with, you got a little bit of rhetoric. You've got a couple of representatives in there that claims that they're fighting for HBCU grants and all this kinds of stuff. And, oh, we're not going to pass. We're not going to vote for it if this doesn't happen. And then where the heck is Kamala? If I had $1 for every time, where's Kamala? She graduated from Howard. So where is she on any of this? Where is she? She doesn't have anything for that. She's not rallying for HBCUs, and she might. I don't know. She's the chameleon, depends on how the wind blows, I guess, is what group she's rallying. I mean, who knows? She'll jump in that pot and pick somebody else, I guess. I have no idea. I'm not sure if this is about, I'm not sure what it's about other than power. I do think that's what it's about. But to scoop out scoop out your lowest hanging fruit, that's what they're good at. And that sells. It sells pitting one color, like one shade against another. But it's infuriating to me because all of these minority groups have people that you couldn't tell. I mean, I've got friends from Central America, South America. I've been to those places. I've been to Puerto Rico. I've got friends from all over. But it's just, and you can, at times, I've stood next to people in Colombia or Bogota that are the same shade as me. I have. And it didn't matter to me. But it just seems like everybody can kind of cohesively deal with things a little bit better than what we're doing right now. It's amazing. Let's see. Luciano's here. Thank you so much. He says it's dark, just like this fraudulent presidency. And oh, Joseph Francis Burton says, do I have a link to the leaked Zoom video call? I will get, if you go back, not Luciano, Joseph Francis Burton, I'll get it for you. It's in my archive someplace. It's in the videos for sure. I think I did it a couple of times. Because you know that everybody in that meeting, in that Zoom call, were just on mute. If you send me an email, I could probably send you the link for it. But I could probably also tell you, I might repost it. I'm going to repost it, I think, on my community tab. So you guys can go back and watch that call. Because Biden was pretty condescending and pretty demoralizing in that. And the people, those civil rights leaders, didn't stand up and say anything. They didn't talk back at all. It was just like, you know, this cantankerous old man is talking down to all these people, all these leaders. He says he was absolutely annoyed or irritated by the presence of these people. And they sat there. Didn't fight for any resources at the table. Didn't say this is what we need to see. We got to see, but this is what we need to see. Nothing. But a lot of these people went out here and voted for this man. But it's not, I just think that it's such a dark time, and this administration, I just don't even know. I don't even say wake up anymore. I think we're beyond that. I think we're past that. This is Google and YouTube are working together. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure they are. But keep going. Keep trying. Hi, battery-powered garters. Nice to see you. But yes, Joseph Francis Burton. I'll pull it out and I'll plug it onto the community tab. But I'm going to let you guys go. But yeah, I just had to, I'm just like, yeah, we're getting a little bit tired of some, this stuff is obvious now. It's too easy now. It's too easy. It's getting too easy to see what they're doing. All right, guys. Have a great rest of your Thursday. Yes, I'll pull it out for you. Yeah, hopefully YouTube didn't yank it down, but hopefully it's still there, and I'll plug it up on the community tab. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in, and yeah. Thank you for tuning in to Bone Scraps for All. Have a good night.